Hello, divers. I'm Tom Feeney, Emmy Award-winning producer, professional skull polisher, and writer for Wang's Chop Movie Magazine. On this installment of Halloween Horror Month 2025, we are using our latest build of Netscape Navigator to investigate the phenomenon of the internet-based horror movie. So be sure no one picks up the landline while we're jacked into the interwebs.
Welcome. You've got mail.
Many listeners may not remember what it was like in the early days of the internet. It really was like some new frontier. It was exciting, fascinating, and even a little bit dangerous. You were never really sure what you might find when you clicked on that hyperlink on that random website. Bad things could happen. You might unwittingly download a virus onto your computer. You could find yourself at the mercy of 100 pop-ups grinding your system to a halt. Yeah, well, that's still kind of a problem. But you could also get stuck in a rabbit hole of weird websites, unfiltered paranoia, or worse, images you were never meant to see or ever want to see again. Yes, the information superhighway had its fair share of bizarre off-ramps. Now, some of these became known as creepypastas. Like folklore of old or the modern urban legend, these creepypastas were stories told in the deepest, darkest corners of the web. There were a few, however, that did take on a life of their own. Now, before we get to that, the term creepypasta is a play on copypasta, which was slang for text that was copied and pasted across internet forums and comment threads. The term evolved when some of those items were stories that were spooky or unnerving, hence creepypastas. What we're focusing on here are movies that were based off of some of those disturbing stories, the ones that went viral and became part of internet legend. Perhaps the most famous and iconic of these stories concerns a nameless, faceless figure who stalked and abducted children, the Slender Man. The story of the Slender Man began in 2009 with a photoshopped image of children playing and a tall, thin, dark figure lurking in the background. Now, the original poster invited others to create their own images and add to the mythos of the Slender Man. Thus began the very first crowdsourced piece of American folklore. Soon, there were websites, YouTube videos, games, fan-created artwork. This digital boogeyman was becoming a full-fledged phenomenon. It was all in good fun, until it wasn't.
Two 12-year-old girls from Waukesha, Wisconsin are in a juvenile detention center tonight. They're charged with attempting to kill another 12-year-old girl who was stabbed Saturday 19 times. Today, an attorney for one of the accused said she shows signs of mental illness. More now from Dean Reynolds.
The brutality of the crime is hard to square with the ages of the accused. Two 12-year-olds now facing adult charges of attempted homicide. We've hidden their identity because of their age. Police say the suspects told them they assaulted their friend in a local park after months of planning, inspired by a website known for horror stories. According to the criminal complaint, the girls wanted to kill their friend as an act of devotion to a horror character called Slender Man, whose exploits are distributed on a website called Creepypasta.
The horrifying stabbing incident made international headlines, and for many, was their first introduction to the lore of the Slender Man, and of the impact these stories could have on impressionable and disturbed minds. Naturally, Hollywood took notice. Now, to date, there are two official movies dealing with the notorious internet baddie. The first was an HBO documentary about the phenomenon, focusing primarily on the aforementioned stabbing in 2014.
The palest man, the blackest suit, bigger than the tallest brute. Fear the man, the slender man, for he can do what no one can.
Came upon a 12-year-old female. She appears to be stabbed. She appears to be what? Stabbed.
Wire and Geyser are accused of stabbing the friend and leaving her for dead.
Police say the suspects were inspired by a character on a website.
Slenderman, a faceless ghoul.
We never thought she could possibly believe that it was real.
Anisha told me we had to. She said that he'd kill our families. Who's he? A man. He can be anywhere from 6 feet to 14 feet tall. He doesn't have a face. His skin is white.
She needed to prove that Slender Man existed and would be able to do that by killing somebody.
You forget how much it sucks to be a kid.
They don't know how to differentiate between fantasy and reality.
People are captivated by Slender Man. That's what I call power.
To believe in the boogeyman isn't that hard, and they believed it was real.
She lifts up her jacket and shows me the handle of a knife.
What were you thinking?
Dear God, this is really happening.
The documentary, Beware the Slender Man, is available to rent or purchase on Amazon's Prime Video streaming service. Granted, there have been several independent productions featuring the Slender Man or a similar figure, but it wasn't until 2016 when development began on a feature film with the character. 2 years later, in 2018, Sony Pictures released the finished film, simply titled Slender Man.
With eyes closed, clear your thoughts and accept his invitation.
What have we done?
He gets in your head like a virus.
Slender Man. Only in theaters August 10th.
In the small town of Winsford, Massachusetts, friends Katie, Haley, Chloe, and Ren hold a sleepover where they watch a disturbing online video said to summon the Slender Man, a mythical figure who abducts children. A week later, Katie vanishes after sensing something in the woods. Searching her laptop, the remaining girls discover she had become obsessed with Slender Man and contacted someone named Allison Riley for ways to reach him. Allison warns that Slender Man corrupts minds, driving victims insane or taking them away, and tells them to perform a ritual to, quote, unveil themselves, end quote, using personal items. During the ritual, Chloe panics and sees Slender Man, later descending into madness. Ren, haunted by visions, researches the creature and is attacked. Meanwhile, Haley's sister Lizzie falls ill after trying to contact Slender Man with Ren. When Haley confronts Ren, she learns that Lizzie offered the being a teddy bear in the woods, but their sacrifices were not enough. Slender Man wants all of them. He then appears and seizes Ren, dragging her into the trees. Determined to end this madness, Haley ventures into the forest, offering herself to Slender Man. He accepts, merging her body into a tree. Later, Lizzie awakens in the hospital, mourning her sister but surviving the ordeal, reflecting on the friends she lost to the legend. Now, the film itself was not well received by audiences who found the film somewhat less than scary and totally formulaic. It scored a pitiful 3.3 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database and an even more pathetic 8% on Rotten Tomatoes. But, for the curious, Slender Man, the title is 2 words by the way, can be found on Prime Video, YouTube, and Apple TV. Our next spooky subject is not as famous as Slender Man, but has similar origins. The Rake is an unnerving humanoid entity said to stalk, watch, and torment its victims, especially during their sleep. Like Slender Man, it emerged from online horror forums in the mid-2000s and became a key figure in internet folklore. The earliest mentions of the Rake appeared around 2005 to 2006 on forums like Something Awful, 4chan, and other paranormal threads dedicated to collaborative horror writing. Users began describing sightings of a hairless, pale humanoid creature that crawled on all fours and appeared at people's bedsides late at night. In 2006, a post titled The Rake began circulating widely, combining these accounts into a unified mythology. It presented the creature as a real, centuries-old being, documented in personal journals and local legends. A storytelling format meant to make it seem authentic and historical. In 2018, a small independent film inspired by the creepypasta was produced. With no stars and no chance of a theatrical release, The Rake was released with little fanfare.
Does this look familiar? Mom and Dad? Jacob Murphy?
Jacob Murphy has been dead for 20 years.
It didn't end with Murphy. He was just a body, a vessel. One of many.
They should have never released her from the hospital. She obviously needs a lot of supervision and help.
She's my sister. There was something else in the house. You know what this is. You saw it that night.
She believes she's becoming its conduit.
To do what?
To infect us all.
Now, The Rake proved once again that even when something achieves a certain level of popularity in one medium, doesn't mean it translates well to another. For the curious, The Rake can be streamed on, once again, Tubi, also Pluto TV and Prime Video. Our final creepypasta is one of the most famous and disturbing creepypastas of all time. A fictional horror story that spread across the internet in the late 2000s. It presents itself as a leaked Soviet-era experiment gone wrong, blending scientific realism with grotesque horror to feel more authentic. It was called The Russian Sleep Experiment. The story first appeared around 2010 on the Creepypasta wiki and forums like 4chan. Written anonymously on August 10th, 2010 by a user named Orange Soda. Its power came from its realistic tone, written like a declassified military report with just enough detail to sound plausible. Many early readers mistook it for an authentic Cold War document or urban legend, especially since it tapped into familiar fears about Soviet experimentation, unethical science practices, and human limitations. Set in the late 1940s, the tale claims that Soviet researchers used a special gas stimulant to keep 5 political prisoners awake for 15 consecutive days as part of an experiment to test the effects of prolonged sleep deprivation. At first, the subjects act normally, talking and cooperating. But as days pass, their behavior grows increasingly erratic and violent. They begin screaming, mutilating themselves, and tearing pages from books to cover the observation windows. Eventually, they stop speaking altogether. When the researchers finally enter the sealed chamber, they discover a scene of horror. The subjects are mutilated beyond recognition, having ripped open their own flesh. They have eaten parts of their bodies and the corpses of others. Despite their condition, they beg to remain awake, claiming that they are no longer human and that sleep would kill them. Now, in 2019, a low-budget movie called The Russian Sleep Experiment was made.
July 1945. The 4 prisoners have arrived at the experimentation camp this morning. I've methodically prepared the chamber for their arrival and gathered the vials of gas for the experiment. The gas seems to have strange qualities, as its natural state is liquid until exposed to oxygen. It corrodes and corrupts any metal with which it comes into contact. And the compounds of the gas itself are of strange elemental design. I wonder what it is we have created, and how it keeps men awake when exposed. In Log 1, the sleep experiment.
Loosely based on the Creepypasta, the Russian sleep experiment was, just like the Creepypasta itself, set in the 1940s in Soviet Russia. The film follows a group of scientists conducting a secret military experiment to test a gas-based stimulant that can keep subjects awake for extended periods of time. Once again, as in the story, 5 political prisoners are chosen as test subjects and locked inside a sealed observation chamber. They are promised their freedom if they remain awake for 15 days. At first, it seems successful, but as time passes, the subjects begin to hallucinate, get paranoid, and turn violently on one another. The scientists, driven by ambition and pressure from the state, refuse to stop the project, even as conditions spiral out of control. When the chamber is finally opened, well, I don't want to say anymore. Now, combining psychological dread with body horror, the Russian sleep experiment reimagines the internet legend as a grim Cold War-era parable about power, obsession, and the cost of human experimentation. So, is it a good movie? Well, actually, kinda, yeah. I mean, I wasn't expecting much, to be honest. However, I liked it. The period setting, the claustrophobic atmosphere, it sort of works. For a very low-budget film, I thought it was pretty well made and handled the subject matter pretty well. I mean, it's no masterpiece, to be sure, but for what it is, it's not bad. It's definitely one of those films where, if no one told you about it, it would most likely never cross your radar. But if you were into that sort of thing, it might be worth checking out. It is available for free on, well, let's all say it together, Tubi. With the advent of YouTube, the creepypasta has evolved somewhat into what is now known as analog horror. It's mostly a nostalgia-driven genre that uses the aesthetics of the late 90s to early 2000s to eerie effect. You know, the videos that look like old VHS. Stop, hold on. Bop, bop, bop. With the advent of YouTube, the creepypasta has evolved somewhat in what is now known as analog horror. It's mostly a nostalgia-driven genre that uses the aesthetics of the late 90s to early 2000s to eerie effect. You know, the videos that look like old VHS tapes or pre-HD TV broadcast television. What will the next modern horror genre be? Who knows? One thing is for sure, though. Hollywood will ultimately beat it to death for a few measly dollars. Thanks for listening. Next time, the return of trivia. This time, it's Halloween trivia. Now, not questions about the Halloween movie franchise, but more about the holiday itself. Plus, a few surprises. So, put on your smelly old flame-retardant plastic masks, you know, the ones that catch on your ears, and meet us here, Halloween night. If you like, please subscribe to this program through your preferred podcast purveyor and write a review if you are so inclined. Now, if you have any suggestions or comments, please send them to thedeepdivepodcast@gmail.com. All clips used in this podcast are meant for educational purposes only and not to infringe on existing copyrights. The Deep Dive Podcast family of programs are a production of Automaton Studios.
Goodbye.